Hey everyone, before the episode begins, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Patriotic Idiots. Today's political sphere has become so incredibly partisan that a balanced and compromising government would be almost impossible. If you watched the 2018 midterm election, you saw how feverish the left became in trying to gain a foothold in Congress. Today, however, we are going to look into a smaller account of the partisan blindness.
When you can't make sense of the world today,
ask Mr. Jordan to show you the way.
On the Birds and the BS.
The Birds and the BS has been a channel on YouTube since July 12, 2017. The left-wing resource has done videos like American Dreamers, Unconditional Voter, and Learn Your Gay BCs, so you can see what type of stereotypical content they create. With that out of the way, let's look at a video entitled Nice Assault Weapons.
Yes!
Morning everyone, and welcome to the Birds and the BS, where we encourage you to actually take the advice you give your children. Today's letter comes from Allie in Alabama. Dear Mr. Jordan, my son is always playing with his gum and spitting it on the floor, so I've made a no gum in the house rule. My daughter says she always uses her gum responsibly, so it's still her right to chew. Should I let my daughter keep her gum? Allie, let me use an analogy to help with this one. Imagine for a moment that I am surrounded by people who play with their gun.
I want to point out some information that makes this video even sadder to watch. Firstly, you can see that this show is obviously aimed towards new parents and their kids, which makes their redaction of details even worse in the context of the discussion. Beyond that, we can see that the creator of the channel, Jordan Roth, clearly hasn't put much thought into the information of this video. He completely writes his analogy backwards, which leads to the creator sounding uninformed. This is further proved by the fact that they cite absolutely zero sources. But maybe they cite later in the video? Let's confirm our suspicions.
Gun. With these people spitting bullets all over, would my mother still let me keep my gun?
Just because someone else goes and commits an act of violence, that doesn't mean you can take away guns from everyone. Are you serious? If we were to say that abortion shouldn't be allowed just because one person does it illegally, I guarantee you that the left would freak the hell out. Now, can you not see that obvious double standard in our own political beliefs? I understand that people are all slightly hypocritical, but can you not see the glaring controversy that is made by your own beliefs?
Your answer to that question is my favorite mother from live musicals on TV, Anna Gasteyer.
Thank you for having me, Jordan. Sit up straight. You look like Shigeru Quasimodo.
If I were using my gun the right way, but others weren't.
Anna Gasteyer? Sorry about that. An actress is not going to explain to us why our political beliefs are null and void by singing. This is why the channel is definitely supposed to be taken seriously. Their way of proving their point is by scratching a chalkboard with a fork until somebody listens. Then when the singing starts, finally, the most miserable noise you could possibly hear. Finally, why are you portraying the government as a mother figure? The government's job isn't to watch over us like we're little children. Their job is to make sure that people can live their lives without infringing on the rights of others. That's why they aren't allowed to take our guns, because they don't have complete control over us and our rights.
It's a
Yes,
fair point you make. This was not your mistake. I'm a law-abiding son. Why take away my gun?
Yes, that's the whole idea. You can't take away our rights because other people commit crimes. Why don't you understand that isn't the job of the government?
But as a mother in charge of your fun, the acts of another can ruin it for everyone.
That's because, as you always say...
This is why we can't have nice assault weapons or you know what, guns of any kind. When it comes to our kids, it's time for us to step in instead of think and pray for peace of mind.
Congratulations on downplaying other people's beliefs and intentions on the goodwill of the public. People are allowed to believe that they can keep their guns and feel sorry for when someone gets shot. Thoughts and prayers is going to console those who have become despondent. When a tragedy strikes you and your family, do you expect no one's sympathy? Do you just want to be told that we have to take away the thing that killed your family? And if a loved one died in a car accident, would you rather have someone tell you that we should get rid of all vehicles on the street, or that they feel sorry for your loss? Think about that before you become abrasive towards those who are trying to give you their condolences.
Government says sacrifices sometimes should be made in the name of the greater good.
There's a problem when it comes to people advocating what the government says. Let's take a history lesson. Back in 1787, when the Constitution was ratified, there were two political parties, anti and pro-federalists. The antis didn't want a big central government, while the pro-federalists did. Thanks to the contributions of the anti-federalists, we were given the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights were the first 10 amendments that were added to the Constitution and gave us permanent and unalienable rights to defend against government tyranny. Guess what the most important right it happens to be? The answer is the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. And Amendment 2 just so happens to be the right to bear arms and initiate a well-regulated militia. But why is that? Well, here's a thought. What is to keep the government from infringing upon the civil rights that the people were given? That is where the right to bear arms comes in. There's a reason why Amendment 2 comes right after Amendment 1, so we could rally citizen soldiers and defend ourselves from a complete governmental takeover. That is why we should take what the government says with a grain of salt.
Someone tainted Tylenol, they fixed the flaw. There was one shoe bomb, and they changed the law. And when guns kill kids, that's the final.
Second Amendment.
Ah, that's exactly what they always do. They shoot us down by invoking the Second Amendment.
Exactly. The Second Amendment is the reason we aren't allowed to ban guns. Tylenol and shoe bombs aren't used to protect the public from those who intend to hurt them. Those are methods of domestic terrorism, not a method to protect yourself from tyranny. When you disarm the public, you allow the government to become a tyrant. That is why guns are allowed and shoe bombs are not. Then there is the Second Amendment issue. You don't even try to hold an argument against it. All you say is, that's what they always say. Of course they always say that. The Second Amendment is what gives them the right to bear arms. The amendment makes sure no one tries to take their guns because it violates their human rights. How would they be able to protect themselves? A knife? When they made it so incredibly difficult to acquire guns, knife crimes skyrocketed. So why don't people deserve the right to try to protect themselves?
Don't they understand how much there is to lose? There are lives at stake and don't forget whose. Nothing's more important than the safety of a child. So time to take your guns and the rhetoric you stockpiled.
Whoa, that's pretty radical. Most of us are against assault weapons, but even we liberals can't go after the Second Amendment itself.
Why not?
I mean, we just don't. It's always, look, we're not saying we're coming for your guns.
Actually, now we are.
Listen, no child should have to die, and I will not stand in defense of those who commit massacres like the one that happened so close to our homes in Parkland last year. My brother had to hide in a closet for 2 hours because he was afraid for his life. Do you not think that I feel sympathy for those people? I was worried sick for my brother, but that doesn't change the factor that guns should be allowed. You know why the massacre continued for so long? The cops failed on every single level. The cops arrived at his house 34 times. Beyond that, the guns of many who commit illegal crimes are acquired on the black market. How can that be the fault of those who legally own guns? So how can you say that people who own guns legally are killing children? That is disgusting that you can say that just because you own guns, you are putting the Americans' youth's lives on the line.
We are.
Guns aren't...
Wait, really?
This is why we can't have compromise. I understand you think that hunting's neat, but sometimes our pastimes jeopardize our lives, which matter more than your precious skeet.
Guns aren't only used on the premise of hunting. You must know that if you believe that in some cases, cops can use guns to stop criminals. Why do you not realize that some people just hope to protect themselves from danger? As we said, the purpose of the Second Amendment is to protect our country from invaders and tyranny. There are some people that will manage to acquire weaponry with the intent to harm, but if you take out the bad apples before it gets bad, the whole harvest won't spoil. It's almost as much fault as the dealer as the guilty party. If you don't do proper background checks into the personality and history of the client, you can't be charged for anything. That should be changed at least a little bit. If you have a list of checks that you require and you don't have a recorded test and your sale of a gun is used to kill innocents, you should be charged for something like premeditated murder. You can never be sure if they are in on it or not. Whilst this isn't a perfect suggestion, it's better than just taking away our rights. Modern problems require modern solutions.
I understand you really had a ball. Then one lone wolf went and ruined it all. And by one, I mean 96 deaths a day.
How terrible must you be to smudge your own statistics? The 96 gun deaths a day statistic can only be drawn when taking the total number of suicides, homicides, and accidental uses of firearms altogether. Even then, the data doesn't get you to 96 deaths a day. It's 100, which means even if you're researching the data, it's incorrect. Whatever you're using is outdated. Let me show you our sources, something you refuse to give. Looking at the list, it's easy to see how terribly you read these statistics. Suicides are far greater than homicides, by almost 4 times. Even then, that includes all causes of homicides and suicides. Looking at the gun statistics, we can show how much farther the data is stretched by Mr. Roth here.
So even though there are a lot of people who use guns responsibly, the fun we get to have with them isn't worth the destruction they cause.
Exactly. You know, there's a lot of things we do that with.
Like lawn darts,
Uh-huh.
Sudafed, and adopted animals are harder to get than a gun because of the actions of a few.
Exactly.
Yeah, we all heard this controversy before. It's easier to buy a gun than cold medicine. But let's look at a couple of things. One, how do you get Sudafed? According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, it states, present a photo identification card issued by the state or federal government or a document that is considered acceptable by the seller, and enter into the logbook their information such as name, address, date and time of sale, and signature. And to adopt a pet, you just need to pay $50 to $200 according to bestfriends.org. Sometimes it's free and all you have to do is pay for the medical fees. A gun, on the other hand, is a little bit harder. According to PolitiFact.com, it states a research paper published last year in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that of the 70% of gun transfers studied that were purchased, opposed to gifts and inheritance, 53% were purchased from stores and 17% were purchased from family, friends, online, or gun shows. Those percentages have increased over time. In the past 2 years, 64% were purchased at stores. In other words, it's certainly possible to purchase a gun without an ID in many states. But in reality, a large majority of purchases are done with IDs and background checks. How do you get a gun license? Well, according to cga.ct.gov, it states, on average, it takes approximately 12 weeks to complete a background investigation before the licensed applicant can be processed, according to the Department of Public Safety website. To get a gun permit, according to usacarry.com, it states, the initial fee for a Florida concealed weapon license for residents and non-residents is $102, which includes a $42 fingerprint processing fee and a $60 initial license fee. Renewals for residents cost $50 and non-residents it's $92, which includes a $42 fingerprint processing fee. So that is $238 to carry a firearm permit. A 9mm handgun could cost around the range of $250 to $400. So that's around $550 to $720 per range. Not to mention that a background check takes about 3 whole business days to complete. And if you still think that this won't do much, think again. According to lawcenter.giffords.org, it states allowing people to buy guns without getting a license or passing a background check would lightly increase gun crime. In 2007, Missouri repealed its requirement that handgun purchasers obtain a permit after a background check. Since the repeal of this licensing law, gun crimes in Missouri have markedly increased. For example, the share of gun crimes recovered in Missouri that were originally purchased in-state has grown by 25%. A key indicator of gun crime trafficking, the share of guns that were recovered at crime scenes within 2 years of their original sale, has doubled, and the crime gun murder rate in the state has risen nearly 25%.
But what about safety? And guns for protection?
Allow me to issue a logic correction. A gun beneath your pillow makes you feel secure. Till you think your granny's a burglar, then it loses its allure. They say
you're actually wrong. A website called Safety News Alert showed that the 10 leading causes of accidental deaths were
poisoning, including drug overdose, 64,795, which is up 11.1%. Motor vehicle, 40,231, which is down 0.2%. Falls, 36,338, which is up 4.8%. Suffocation by ingestion or inhalation, 5,216, which is up 8%. Drowning, 3,709, which is down 2%. Fires, flame, and smoke, 2,812, which is up 3%. Mechanical suffocation, 1,730, which is down 2.9%. Struck by lightning, 806, which is up 2%. And finally, machinery, 572, which is down 6.2%. According to JustFacts.com, in 2014, there were 586 fatal firearm accidents in the United States, constituting 0.4% of the 136,053 fatal accidents.
it's a lure. They say a good guy with a gun could stop a bad guy with a gun.
But neither has to die if neither one has one.
Can we all agree that no one wants anyone to die? But the fact of the matter, guns are utilized mostly by American citizens to protect. There are about 325 million people in the United States, and there are 256 million gun owners. So if guns were the problem, there would be a higher death toll, no? It has been shown that there are more good than bad outcomes with having a gun. Research from the National Academies Press showed that almost all national survey estimates indicate that defensive gun uses by victims are at least as common as offensive uses by criminals, with estimates of annual uses ranging from about 500,000 to more than 3 million, in the context of about 300,000 violent crimes involving firearms in 2008.
I only wonder how these men will find their sense of self-worth and masculinity without their pew-pew.
Who you are as a man isn't found in your gun, and who we are as a country should be safe for everyone. Australians stayed butch after their overhaul.
So if you're a macho prick, you can stay one after all. Take us home!
This is why we can't have Rambo teachers.
I don't think you understand the point of owning a gun. People don't own guns because it makes them feel manly. People own guns so they can protect themselves from those who wish to harm them. Why is that wrong? People feel like they're more manly because they finally have the assurance that in a scenario with a criminal, they can go home that night to their families. They aren't misogynistics or patriarch. They are men and women that want a fair chance in an aggressive scenario. Also, Australia had a decreasing gun crime before the gun ban. Port Arthur massacre was an anomaly that hasn't played a role into the grand scheme of Australian crime, instead spiking the rates for a short period. Your teachers with gun argument is a hyperbole as well. The law allows owners of gun, who are statistically less likely to commit crimes, carry in school for an event that may cause a tragedy. Why wouldn't you want that? There are no loopholes or illegal activities, so don't act like this is an attempt to allow more massacres against someone's will. You know that would be spreading lies.
This is why we can't have dummy leaders. This is why we can't have not nice things. And when the government needs to be overthrown, get your ass out and vote, cause we can't do this alone.
Really? Are you so far left that you legitimately support the Not My President movement? Why is that when anyone disagrees with you, everything suddenly becomes an evil entity that is literally Hitler? Just stop it.
Till then,
This is why we can't have the Electoral College.
What the fuck?
Hey guys, I'm glad you liked this video since you're here at the end card. I'm the editor of Patriotic Idiot. I just wanted to know, since you liked it so much, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Also hit the notification bell. If you're interested in seeing other things that we do, you can go head out to our Twitter at IdiotPatriotic. We're there all the time, so hit us up, DM us, whatever you want to do, and we'll see you guys in the next video.